It's your dear friend, your confidant, your podcast extraordinaire, your just your cuddle buddy. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, Chase. It's Cut to the Chase podcast. Just cut to the chase. Cut to the chase podcast, guys. It's me. Appreciate you guys coming in and once again for another episode of Cut to the Chase podcast with the number 2, by the way, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, and share the podcast. We have the podcast available everywhere that you can find podcasts: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you can find podcasts. We are out there. All you guys have to do is type in "Cut the number 2 to the Chase" podcast, and I'm there. If you guys like it, subscribe, like, and share again, and go on this great journey of listening to me, growing with me about nothing. We have a good episode this week. It's very cold. I woke up very cold this morning. 32 degrees in Boston after it was 76 degrees 4 days ago. Now, you guys are thinking, like, what is going on? I don't know. This is New England weather. This is how people get sick over here. It was 32 degrees, and it was so cold unexpectedly. I just decided I decided, like, this is when you live in a city that's cold, where you didn't prepare and buy a winter jacket, but you have to go buy a jacket as you're going to work. Like, that's when like, when you have to buy accessories on your way to your main thing, that's when you need to move out of your city. Like, as you're just, working throughout the day and you get out of your job, it drops like 60 degrees, and now you have to go buy a winter coat, winter socks. It's just getting ridiculous. So what I'm saying to you guys is that I'm closer and closer. I'm getting to my goal of getting the hell out of the cold weather. Now, the question is where and when? And the answer is I don't know. Don't know. I've been saying this for 5 years, and this is what happens when you're from New England. This is the thing. If you're from New England, especially from Boston people always complain about getting out of the cold, but never leave. We never leave. For some reason, we just stay and still shit on the place that we're from. And do we like, is it like kind of like do we really want to leave? I was starting to ask myself that the other day. Do I really want to leave Boston? Because if I really want to leave, I would just leave, right? I would just leave. Kind of like in a relationship, right? If someone's like acting up in your relationship and they're not listening, you just leave, right? Except if you're Kim Kardashian. That's a little tricky. She's, but I don't know. I do want to go somewhere warm. I just feel like, if you guys don't know, like I'm a Pisces, if you guys don't know. So I'm a water sign. Now that may have no relevance to this episode whatsoever or the subject matter that I'm talking about. However, I was a shark before I became a minnow, guys. Now, with that, when I was a kid, some of you guys, do you remember the time when you guys were kids and you guys learned how to swim and they put you in groups at the YMCA where they had groups of, like, you had the tadpoles, then you had the sharks, and then you had the minnows. They put you in groups. I don't know if you guys remember that. I came from that era. Now, I just want to let you know, guys. Now, I don't go on this podcast and brag a lot. Some may have a different school of thought on that, but I'm saying that I don't feel like I do. I was a shark when I should have became a minnow. They kind of gave me the platform to kind of just show my talents, and I did. And I think it led me to the unbelievable confidence that I have now. Let's just reel this back a little bit on this. It's kind of like a comedian. They gave me a special after 2 years, and then I think now I'm the best comedian around, you know. So it's just a weird thing. But I guess my point is the plan to leave is I want to. Will I ever do it? We will see. But I do love Boston, but I'm done with the cold. You know, this is the thing. How much, you know, the amount of lotions that I've bought in my lifetime by living in this city? Nicky. I bought so many types of lotions. I can't even count how many lotions I bought because just being ashy in the city.
Yeah.
I don't want to be ashy anymore.
I've never even thought of that.
Being ashy?
I mean, like being ashy, like and how the cold weather affects that, how tough it must be on top of all the other things. You're like, I'm ashy 8 months out of the 12.
Yeah. Now, as you know, some of the listeners don't know. Now, I have good skin. I have great skin.
You do have great skin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, but there are just times where like I can't just go to CVS and buy cocoa butter all the time. You know, there's not like a membership for cocoa butter, unlimited amounts of cocoa butter.
Let's see where cocoa butter is at. You think cocoa butter has been impacted by inflation?
100%. 100%. Because people have been, you know, I mean, the price for cocoa butter now has to be, I mean, it has to be high. I couldn't see why not. Now, you have to ask yourself what type of cocoa butter you're talking about. You feel me? You ever use cocoa butter, Nicky?
I have, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
More in college. That was kind of my jam in college.
Were you like the only dude that was using cocoa butter in your group?
Yeah, for sure.
I could see that.
Yeah, I had I had a lot of black friends, and they were like,
"Whoa,
you use cocoa butter?"
Like they were surprised and shit.
Yeah, and it was not derived from like, oh, my black friends are using cocoa butter, I'm gonna follow suit.
Oh no,
it wasn't like I wasn't influenced. It was like blind luck. My mom was always like, if you want your skin to be nice and like, glistening, it helps preserve a tan too. Because I'd get tan. I would go and summertimes I'd come back to college and I was just like about 2 shades darker than I am right now, and that helps preserve the tan.
Dude.
So I would do that a lot.
Bro, when I was like in like the 4th grade, like when I was a kid, and like I used to go to like an all like white school, there was like not that many.
I know the feeling, yeah.
Yeah. the girls when they went away for like, how they when you were a kid and the summer break, remember the summer breaks as a kid?
Yes, I do.
They felt so long. And you felt like, and there were certain kids that you didn't see the whole summer until you came back to school.
Yeah.
The week before school starts was the best time for a kid.
Yeah.
Because everyone's is gearing up for the year and they want to show off their new clothes.
Yep.
They want to show off like, whatever.
Yep.
And I always be in awe of the white girls that would come back with tan, son.
And cornrows with shells.
Wheat and Bash. 1989.
You are so heavily embedded in the white North Shore culture. It's fucking insane to me how like some of these things that you bring up that I moved to the North Shore when I was in high school. That's when I started like end of 8th grade and then through college. I lived on the North Shore. My parents did. Yeah, North Shore of Boston.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff I'm just like, it's insane.
Bro.
It's a culture. It's a definitely a very different culture than the South Shore, a very different culture than the rest of Massachusetts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've got different cultures and different, different pockets and whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying is this girl that I always will remember, her name was Wheaton. Blonde.
What a name.
I mean, she was...
Marblehead? Where is she from?
I mean, we were from Salem.
Salem, okay.
Salem.
Yep.
So, like, adjacent.
You'd go there on, like, the weekends. Would you ever make it over to Marblehead?
Salem, like, the best way I can, define Salem in comparison to Marblehead, like, Salem was, like, Marblehead's, like, crazy stepsister.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I don't
like
think
if you
I've
want
ever
to come
been
have
to Salem.
fun, you go with the stepsister.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to bed in Marblehead.
You go to bed.
That's where you go. That's where you go and you relax and you don't do it like.
Right.
It gets busy in Salem.
Oh yeah, you got the witches. You had the witches thing, the Salem witches.
Yep.
Forest River Park, Derby Wharf.
Okay.
They used to have the black barbecue every summer.
Really?
Back in the days. So basically, it was the black barbecue. So everyone who was black.
Did they call it the black barbecue?
They absolutely did. It was the 90s for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
So the black barbecue was a barbecue that everyone pretty much like, who were black, who lived in Massachusetts or whatever the case may be in the surrounding shores, North Shore, South Shore, Boston, they all came to Salem. And you're talking about like basketball players who played. I mean, everyone came.
Sure.
It was, let's just say it was a little different from 4th of July.
Yep. Different vibes.
There was a lot of different vibes for sure.
Different vibes.
But this girl Wheaton, bro, I always remember she came back all the way up through like 6th grade, 3rd grade to 6th grade. She was that. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast. And Wheaton, if you happen to come across this podcast, I just want to let you know, in a not scary, creepy way.
She was it. She was the one.
She was
the one that got away. Yeah.
I never had her, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't even give me an opportunity.
She got away.
She just got away.
Yeah.
She just, during field day, I tried to.
Oh. Field day.
Remember field day, bro?
Yeah.
You guys, if you're out there, you guys, I'm sure had a field day where, like, when you were a kid in like grade school, all the classes competed with each other. It was a day full of games and races.
Yeah.
We would have it at this place called Forest River Park.
Yep.
Great. And there was like a part of field day where you had to like showcase talent.
Mm-hmm.
There was a showcase talent part of it. So you know what I did.
Oh, we didn't. I don't think we had the showcase talent part. That's.
Well, I mean, would you?
Whose act did you rip off? Like when you go, because that's what you do when you're in.
Oh, I could tell you right now.
Like 3rd or 4th grade or 5th grade is like.
Yeah. Oh, I could tell you right now. Crisscross.
Yeah.
That's like.
Did you rock the?
It was
clothes?
Backwards.
Yeah.
Yep. Rocked it backwards. I rocked my clothes backwards. We did crisscross. It was jump. Or was it whatever it was? I think the big song they had back then. Yeah. I'm about to. What up, Chris? You
still remember it?
Yeah, for sure.
I did Grease Lightning. You know Grease?
Kind of.
Danny Zuko.
You kind of do look like a Grease extra.
Yeah.
Not quite SAG.
I work on scale.
You work on scale. You come in. You pay like a one due a month.
Yeah.
You basically look like the dude that would come only for the craft cheese.
Yeah.
Like the crafts meal. But you always would come with that. Like you always have a great leather jacket.
Always.
They always have to give you the part because of the leather jacket.
I could be in this crew. Right here.
100%. 100%. You are definitely a Grease Lightning dude for sure.
In the back.
Yeah, you're the back guy.
Kind of in the back, just like.
Yeah, you're the back guy, but you're the guy that makes sense of things.
Yeah.
Where they lean towards to make sense of things.
They're like, oh, we're gonna go do this, and I'm like, guys, I don't think that makes. Why don't we just take one car?
Yeah, they like you, but they don't like you for you. Which
is how it was back then. My personality would not have been. I would have been a very different person back in whenever this was supposed to be, the 60s. Right?
Do you think you could have? You think that's a good time? That if you had to pick any time period.
I love this question,
and I like asking you these questions because
go ahead.
I kind of think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to pick any period where you can live in the time period, where do you feel like you could fit and you'd like it?
At what age?
I would say for me, my happiest times were between 9 and 13, 14 years old. So.
Oh, okay. As a kid.
I'll say as a kid, and then we can go.
And then as an adult.
As an adult.
As a kid, I'm kind of happy with where I grew up as a kid.
I was about to say, because if you said another
90s and
I would-
early 2000s.
I was about to say, if you said
What
another,
are we talking about?
if you said another period besides the 90s, I would have fucking left.
I
the
don't want to be a
studio.
child of the 60s.
You better been pick the 90s because you know the 90s was the best period, and I say that too.
90s music and movies, easy, hands down. I mean, even early 2000s, great. Some of the best comedy movies of all time, early 2000s.
Not you
no
wasn't
questions.
into the fashion though.
The fashion, of course I was. Yeah,
Really, though?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't.
Because I go in between both. I would go in between both. When I moved to Andover's, when I was like, I don't think I can wear my Woo Wear jacket as much anymore.
You couldn't wear you.
I wore it like the first couple of days, and people were like,
yeah.
"What is it? What kind of what style of Abercrombie is that? Is that a
Right.
new?"
Right.
I'm like, you don't know anything about this.
Yeah. So you.
So I
broke
would
out the,
I would go early. I would go late 90s, early 2000s for my 9 to like 15 years old.
dope.
And then
Adult. Let's go.
adult,
30s. Mature, like 33,
mature
34.
adult.
Yeah.
I would probably go.
30s.
The 60s seemed wild. The 60s seemed wild to me. And like, here's the
I'm
thing.
talking about now, Nicky Neighborhoods, not pre.
Oh, who I am?
Neighborhoods.
Yeah, no, who
Not
I am.
crazy gets drink after.
No. What I'm saying is,
Nick.
who I am now. I
Yeah.
probably could have done a lot more with what I know
Yeah.
in the 60s, 60s and 70s.
So 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Motown.
Oh, but 80s was good too. 80s was like
But you die like you because I know you.
my diet. Yeah.
Yeah, you die because you did cocaine.
The tough. Yeah.
I know you. You'd watch like an episode of Scarface and go off the rails.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's the
It
type.
was so accessible. It was so accessible in the 80s. Everyone did it.
Dude, do you know that isn't that crazy to think? Well, is it? But I was thinking about that the other day. Cocaine was like as easy to get as if you get a pair of socks at like Walmart.
Easy. And no one thought twice about like what is in this. No one, because everyone had, even the scumbags had integrity back then.
A little bit.
I think that
So 80s, okay. All right.
I would say maybe I'm gonna go with my first answer. I think like 60s would be an interesting time to be alive.
60s,
Yeah.
kind of like
JFK-ish, like Rat Pack-ish, like the entertainment back then. I think I would have been able to become.
well, 60s was a hippie era too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a hippie era, and I always wonder like which side would I have been on?
Counter Vietnam War type.
Yeah.
A lot of marijuana
Yeah,
in the 60s.
yeah, but also you have Lenny Bruce, you have all these like
Comedy. Mhm. Yeah.
and I think with the way that I think now, I feel like there could have been. I think I could have been, people would have been like, oh, that's interesting, that's shocking.
Yeah.
Me being like, I have lactose intolerant, milk sucks. People would have been like, oh, that's
Right.
shocking. That's no holes bars.
This is
Basically, people were so boring back then, they would have found me really interesting.
that would have found you interesting. Yeah. So I mean, there's always one person.
What about you?
I would say as a kid, 90s for sure.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah, I think we did grow up in the right era for kids and teenagers.
There's no time period in my opinion, and I know what people are gonna say. Well, the 80s were great, the 70s were great.
No.
I know each person, depending on who you ask, they're gonna gravitate to their era,
Yeah.
to their generation. I get it, but I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've lived in the 80s. I've seen the 80s, like enough to get
Sure.
a mirror of it. I mean, I was born in early 80s, but I remember the 80s. Remember the 90s very well.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the 2000s very well.
Yeah.
And I remember now very well.
Yeah.
90s, man.
Yeah.
There's no... Dude, I've never... Like, the 90s was like... Because everything seemed like it was being just...
I want to change mine in the 90s as an adult. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I felt like everything was like being created. Everything was
Technology
was just like it was in its infancy stages. Like
Yep.
infancy stages.
Yep.
Like there was no pressure. Like it was just do it, see what happens.
Yep.
No one was coming after you for things. Like I mean they were I mean, there was a lot of people. This is what people don't understand. Back in the days too, in the 90s too. Like, I mean, there was a lot of like, there was a lot of like, I don't want to say extreme wokeness as there is now, but there was movements to like silence people, censorships.
Sure.
You know, there was music, there was hip hop specifically like rap music, like gangster rap. I mean, NWA, like they got the federal government came after them. There was like Ice-T had so what I'm saying is to say that it still didn't matter in the 90s. Like but everything was good.
Here's why I want to challenge you because I really did think about this. This is a great question.
Fucking challenge me about
this.
The 90s.
The pointing. Is that it's the same every era.
There is.
Every era is really the same. It's a wash. It's just wrapped in a different package. Like think of the 60s. Everyone was like, this president's fucking crazy. What Kennedy got assassinated. That is wild. That's wild in any era. There's like very few times that has happened.
What, that a president
was assassinated on live television. Like that, I think transcends it. But like Richard Nixon was Donald Trump. I think it was at the 60s or 70s that he was. I have to look that up. Wild president.
Oh, 60s, yeah.
There's a lot of shit going on. The civil rights movement. Like
I think this was 70s.
70s, I think.
Be wrong, yeah.
But still, so you go look at the
Watergate,
70s. Yeah. So there's wild shit going on.
Oh, yeah.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Sure.
Early 2000s. Right now, like there's the same shit going on. I just think the way that people are getting the information is changing the way that they process it. Like now it's too much now, and like I think that's why like the 90s and the early 2000s, like remember when like Britney Spears and Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan would go out and like there was a picture of them and people were like, this is fucking wild. This is wild. Like, and it was just a picture of them out after like a club.
Yeah.
Now it's like video in the club, like all this other shit that, so 90s, early 2000s for me is like,
that's
the prime.
That's the prime, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, 90s, I'm sure I got a lot of listeners out there that are into the 90s, from the 90s. So, anything that I play as far as even any genre of like music was good. Even if it was like kind of like cheesy pop shit, whatever, it was still good. It was still fun. You had the fucking Cranberries.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
I think you and I think you and I over-index towards a little bit of simpler times, from an entertainment standpoint. I think that at least me, I'm drawn to that. Like, there's not just comedy, but like movies, music. You're waiting all week, all month, all year for fucking Prince to drop a new album, or for Eddie Murphy to come out with this new stand-up special that everyone's like. It's a build up. The
build up for me was for sure. Everything was about the build up because there was a time where I remember people would come to me and say, "Hey, did you go to that? Damn, you missed that concert, man."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Damn, you're right." They're like, "Yeah, you should have been there." And that was it. And you had to sit with that emotion. And you had to like, and then what you did for the next time was to make sure that you made sure you went.
And you listened to the CD. Or the tape, being like, "Fuck, this must have been what it sounded like."
Yeah. The imagination, like there was like
people had imagination.
Yeah, they had imagination, and they weren't afraid to like use it.
Yeah,
or to so yeah. So we'll leave with this. Yeah, I mean, as far as a time period, I think we both agree. I mean, for us, like 90s, early 2000s, maybe we're a little biased because we grew up in that era, but I'm still going to stand by that.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like, with hip hop, I mean, hip hop was fantastic. Rap was good. Breakdancing, alternative music was good. Rock and roll was good. Punk rock was good. You had Nirvana. I mean, every single genre of an extension of the 90s
it's at its pinnacle.
It was at its pinnacle peak, But yeah, I don't know. I do want to talk about something though. I have a situation maybe you can help me with.
Oh, I love these. What'd you get yourself into now?
Now, a lot of you guys know I moved into an apartment.
Yep.
Right? It's been going good. I like it. It's quaint. It's quite quaint, as people would say. Now, I've always had roommates. I don't mind roommates. I've had pretty good roommates, pretty good roommate experiences. I've had a few bad roommate experiences, but for the most part, I've had pretty good roommate experiences. Now, I'm trying to come up with a plan to have my roommate move out.
Why is this?
Because he came into my room naked while listening to Rihanna.
That's not good. That's not great. Now, your roommate is a 65-year-old man.
74.
Okay. I thought I was overshooting with the 65. So your roommate's a 74-year-old man. Mm-hmm. Now, was he naked because he... Mm-hmm. It's funny, the older you get when you're naked, it's more of a concern for people of, like, your well-being. Like, when you're... Like, if a 20-something-year-old came into your room naked, you would be like, what the fuck?
Right.
74-year-old man walks into your room naked. You're like, do you need help?
Do you need help?
Is there anyone I can call for you?
Right. Right. Because if I walked in naked, they're like, we need to arrest.
Bro.
Where is the authorities? We have Seal walking around. You know.
Yeah.
Kissed by a rose.
Yeah, no. You'd be kissed by the Narcan that they shoot you with.
Jesus. Yeah, man. So I came home. He didn't know I came home. He had Rihanna playing on his Pioneer Elite stereo system.
Love old guys with like nice ass stereo systems. Old but nice.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Pioneer Elites were pretty good back then. 2000s.
Stereo systems in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Bro, Alpine.
He has it all.
Yep.
He has it all. So
what was his reaction? Go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah. So I come into the work. He doesn't know I was there. He has the music blasting. All the lights are on. Okay, it's fine. I haven't paid the electric bill yet. Mm-hmm. Still good. I go into my room because that's what I do. I just go in my room. I close the door and I just kind of veg out for a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I start going down a rabbit hole on YouTube, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's half hour becomes an hour and a half, whatever. He's singing out in the living room area to Rihanna. Now, listen, I love Rihanna, but I mean, he was getting a little carried away.
Was he good?
He actually was.
Yeah. You never know.
He actually was.
But he did it his way.
So I hear him coming because his room is like directly across from mine. And I thought he's going to his room. So then I said to myself, okay, like I'll go and use the bathroom, right? Bro, he comes into my room, sees my light on, and tries to shut off my light.
Because he wants to conserve electricity.
And then I was like, hey, John. He goes, oh, I didn't know you were home.
Yep.
I am. And then continues to proceed to ask me how my day was.
Naked.
Very naked. Big balls.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Big balls.
Big
balls.
It happens.
Is that what happens when you get older?
Yeah.
You just get bigger balls?
I have that now, unfortunately. Well, fun fact. But I can only assume that when I get older, they're going to move south. You know, they're gonna be bigger.
Right.
Which is concerning.
I mean, we can definitely talk about your stuff a little later.
But so now now is it awkward?
Yeah.
For you, but not for him.
No, because he's like asked me how my day was. I'm like, John, you're naked. Can you like?
Yeah.
This is the thing. I'm doing better by not responding rudely to people. I've been doing a lot better.
Good.
When I get agitated quick, what I've been doing, I don't know if this helps you. I just don't say anything. I just sit in the silence and hope that they realize that I'm not trying to engage in more conversation. Mm-hmm. So they leave.
That's one way of doing it.
I Andre Agassi back to them. Boom. Like you take initiative, you take accountability, you make a decision where you feel, do you think right now this is a great moment for you to be naked?
I think in those moments, people really respect, especially old dudes like that, they really respect just the honesty of, hey, John, you know what? I'd love to have this conversation with you, but fully clothed. Is there any way you could put some clothes on? Is there any conceivable way?
The fact that I have to actually probe that question to a grown man
Sure.
concerns me.
Sure. Well, I think you've been given enough indicators at this point that this guy is a little left to center.
He's a little, he's going through some things for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Did I tell you his story? I think I did on the last some of the
You
episodes.
did. Yeah.
He's renting a room, but owns a house that his wife lives in, that he's
Ain't
been
that the
married
way?
for 50 years, but separated for 20.
Ain't that the way?
Got to give it to him. He's Catholic man, sticking by, doesn't want to get divorced.
Can't. What will people think?
Normal people, probably good for you.
like, yeah, all right, good. Go live a healthy life. Not in Boston.
What would you do if you had a roommate that was older, but you don't want to hurt their feelings, but they do walk around naked?
I mean, I would definitely say, hey man, we gotta set some boundaries here, just so we both feel comfortable.
Right.
I don't have many rules,
Me either.
but the one rule I do have is like, I don't want to see a stranger naked. If it's a friend, I'll be honest with you. I have some friends, they walk around naked not anymore, but back in the day when they would come stay with me or I would go stay with them, yeah, from the shower to naked. That's a guy thing though. That's like a weird.
No, it's
Is
not
that
a guy
weird?
thing.
Now that I say it out loud,
Nope.
it just seems very weird.
Yep, not a guy thing at all. I mean, could be, but not.
Yeah.
Nope, that's
It's a
definitely
weird North Shore thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just like, dude, we come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Especially when your balls are that pendulous.
I was jealous of the balls, not his thing.
That's the thing is like,
yeah.
average,
Yeah, I got
average, but big balls.
it's
Toyota Camry, monster truck tires. That's the situation.
that's the situation.
Average car, huge tires.
Right.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wasn't a fan. But it left me a little perturbed. And I said to myself, okay, I got to create a plan now for him to, not so much for him to move out because of the nakedness, but more because I'm concerned that I'm going to walk in on him like not alive.
Yeah.
You could slip.
A lot
He could
dead
slip.
and naked.
He could slip.
He could be disabled and naked.
The worst thing in life, I think, is to find someone naked, unresponsive.
Yeah, dude, that's bad. That's bad.
That's not a good. What's the alternative?
Because then you got to help them. There's a great scene in the HBO show Girls where the main character's dad slips, is having sex with the wife and blows his back out in the shower, and she has to help her dad naked to like get to the bed to put clothes on.
Jesus.
And the way it was shot was so perfect. And in that moment, I had that same exact thing of, could you imagine being that person or having to help that person? It's the worst because you're battling two things. You're battling like, is this person okay? What is their well-being? They're also naked.
Yeah. You're battling also avoiding getting poked by a friggin'
Something.
by something.
Because you don't know.
He might get
You don't know people's situations.
It's weird. But you know what? He's a good guy, pays the rent on time, occasionally walks around the house naked. Maybe I should suck it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Pause.
Interesting choice.
Now, Nicky, I asked you a question earlier, which I'm a little perturbed by. You answered it. You don't watch football? It's football season. You don't watch football on Sundays?
Oh yeah, we were talking about before we recorded. Yeah, I don't watch. I don't really care about football that much.
Okay.
I don't.
You
It doesn't excite me.
Okay. All right. Because I asked you, I was like, "Yo, did you see the football game this week? The Minnesota game and against whoever they're playing, and then
The Vikings. Against,
Minnesota Vikings playing, I think, Buffalo Bills. That's
Yeah.
who they were playing, and it was a great game. And I was just like, kind of breaking the ice I haven't seen in a week, because that's what guys do. We kind of lean in with a sports thing, and then
Sure.
that's what guys do.
Yeah.
And then you instinctively, with
No
with
hesitation.
no hesitation, bro.
No.
Was like, I don't watch football, Chase. I'm not really watching football Sundays.
No.
And I looked at you, was like, what? Like, what do you
No,
do?
I follow, aside from shows, which there aren't that many of. There's like a handful of shows that I watch. I am into F1, Formula One racing.
Fucking this guy.
I'm into the Premier League soccer.
All right, guys.
And I'm
If you
into
ever get a fucking invitation from Nicky Neighborhoods for a Sunday afternoon in the fall to watch Formula One racing,
just spit in his face.
Just spit in his face, and don't flush the toilet when you take a shit. That's how you. Hey,
I don't get in. I'm not into because you know what it is. Everyone watches it. Number one, it's so predictable. It's very stats driven. It's anything that people gamble around a lot. I'm just like, all right, yeah, I get it. It's the same. They're very predictable storylines.
Football.
Yeah.
Okay.
To me, I think I'm not into it this year. No.
All right. I'm just asking.
Ever since Brady left, I've been like, what am I?
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
So once Brady leaves,
I'm like, what do I care?
I don't know. Maybe there's another Brady in the woodworks, you know?
Yeah. Well, football is about as interesting as this conversation that we're having about football. It's kind of just like, meh.
You know what's also interesting? A better thing that was okay. So this weekend, while I was watching football, like a man. Sorry,
How do you watch football, by the way?
With clothes on.
Thank you. Go ahead.
While I was watching football, you know, sometimes I occasionally see what's out on the Tinder.
Oh,
yeah, because I'm not on Tinder to
because you can.
Because I can.
Because you can.
I have space in my phone.
Yep.
I don't download a lot of apps, so I have a lot of space in my phone still.
Okay.
I go on Tinder sometimes. See, I don't know. I don't really engage, but I'm just seeing what's out there.
Sure.
You know what I noticed? A lot of white women on my Tinder.
Interesting.
A lot of snow bunnies.
Ooh.
Now, I'm also checking Tinder in different areas of Massachusetts.
Oh, you do a large radius.
I do a census.
Wow.
I do a census for an unofficial census for Tinder.
No, like 50 miles, 75 miles.
I do 75 because I don't want to leave no woman no woman left behind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You might find yourself in Worcester or Mashpee.
Or Athol.
Or Athol, Mass.
I was like, yo, I'm just like, yo, I'm trying to see. I'm like, yo, listen, I'm just observing, you know? I'm just trying to see, Spanish women. Do you notice a difference? Black women, age. I'm like, there's a lot, but I know, I get it. Boston, there's a lot of, I get it, but, So then I was like, hey, maybe if I just take a drive to Lawrence, maybe the demographic will change a little bit, But then it wasn't on Tinder. Then there's no, it was still the same.
Does Lawrence not get Tinder?
I don't think they get Tinder. I think they still get Mi Gente.
Is it like North Korea where there's no Tinder allowed in Lawrence?
I think once it crosses the Lowell Turnpike, the Lowell connector,
they're like, we need to focus on getting the city back together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We don't need a sex app in the city.
No, we have actually. The reason why a lot of us are here is because of a lot of sex. It's too many people. We need a lot of people having a lot of sex up north.
I feel like as far as Tinder quality goes, I feel like there'd be a surprising amount of the demographic west of the city. I feel like there would be a surprisingly high quality west of the city as far as aesthetically, more attractive.
But this is my other thing about Tinder is and I was just making that. I just kind of was saying that just because it was just an observation that I noticed, but it didn't really mean anything. But one thing I did see about Tinder is the women that are on Tinder, the ones who say I'm only looking for a serious thing, no hookups. And I'm like, you're trying to look for a serious relationship on Tinder? But
that's a red flag.
That's a red flag to me. And I can't explain why.
Because Tinder is not.
That's not the place for that.
It's like a bar. It's like a bar. When you think about the bars in Boston, right?
Yeah. What are we talking about? Like Hurricane O'Reilly's?
Okay, that's Tinder.
Or Slade's.
That's Black Planet.
There we go. We know where to go.
That's what it is. And you look at I'll say this. You look at maybe the bar at the Ritz. You know, you look at not even that, like, you look at Yvonne's.
They're more Bumble.
That's like a private. I feel like Yvonne's, I feel like some of those higher end places are more of like those subscription services.
Sure.
Bumble, I would say, is maybe...
Bumble has a little better quality.
Yeah, but it's not top. It's not premium.
No.
But it's also not. But Bumble's kind of like the JetBlue of dating apps, right? It's just right in the middle.
Yeah, that's a good out. I would say that. I was thinking more of like, you know, Frontier Airlines.
No,
you know?
That's
because it's very specific. You know,
Yeah.
not a lot of people use it, but it's a good airline.
Why is that?
I don't think a lot of people just live generally in the Pacific Northwest, population wise.
Oh, boy, people don't use. I mean, why do people use Bumble a lot?
Oh,
Like, I get Frontier
I was
with,
like,
with their
yeah, I'm a
service.
representative for Frontier Airlines.
Yeah, I'm not taking a connection into Providence on Frontier.
Only if you go into Cheetahs.
Yeah, I think there's a demographic of people that want to go from Boston to Providence, Rhode Island, and guess who's going to serve that need? Frontier Airlines.
Do you know I did that once? I was away for a trip. I was in I think Atlanta, Georgia. It was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, instead of flying back into Boston, because this was during the heyday of like my going to strip club days. I'd go to strip clubs a lot. I flew in, instead of going straight to Logan, I flew into Providence, went to the strip club straight from the airport, and then I stayed overnight in Providence and just took, and then I went back to Boston.
That sounds like the most depressing Sunday morning drive back up to Boston.
It was actually pretty good.
Was it?
It was actually pretty good because it was the holiday party.
You know what's
It was a holiday party for the strip clubs.
Okay.
I didn't want to miss the free chicken cacciatore.
You know what, though? It's funny because what you should have done, now, again, life is hindsight, right? We look back at the things that we should have done. If I were you in that situation, not going to the strip club in Atlanta for the holidays, I feel like the strip clubs in Atlanta are legendary.
They are, but they're a little...
Is it too? Because sometimes it's like you just want maybe more of a
intimate
setting. You don't feel like going to
strip clubs in Atlanta are a little different. You just got to have a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of money to go to Atlanta strip club.
Yeah,
it's not like going to a strip club here.
Yeah, you
can get by with a few $100. You know, the girls don't really care. You know,
you could have a night for $300.
You could have a night for $300.
Yeah,
you know, round of drinks for your friends, a couple rounds.
Yeah, maybe
a couple lap dances.
Yep.
Maybe a little, maybe.
I don't know anything about that.
Me either.
And yet it's true. That's the thing. People think you're joking. Oh, fuck.
But if you go to Atlanta, man, you got to have because because Atlanta strippers are just better.
Yeah.
They're better, man. They work. They're climbing up 30-foot poles.
They're true athletes.
They're athletes.
Yeah.
Like
they have sponsorship deals.
They're brand marketers. You know, like,
why am I tipping you if you have a contract with Nike?
It's crazy.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So, you know, it's a little different. You got to have a lot more money down there, and it's more of a culture down there.
Providence is definitely. Yeah.
If you're going to a strip club in Providence, that means you need it.
Yeah.
For other reasons.
Yeah.
You know, the waste management company, the union's gone on strike.
Yeah. There's some things happening in Providence where it is there couldn't be a polar opposite strip club experience from Atlanta to Providence.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. I've had some really crazy experiences, man. But aside from that, you know, I guess you just have to kind of find a way find ways to keep things interested and having fun without putting yourself in compromising situations, which I've failed to do up until this point, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, I stopped putting myself in compromising situations that, like, once I hit 30, I was like, no more. Not even that. I think like 28, 29 is when I started to be like, here's how I can avoid some of these situations.
You say 30? That was the age for you?
30 for me was when I was like, okay, enough.
Right.
Enough. It's not fun. It's not cute anymore.
I'm trying to think when I made that decision.
2 months ago?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 months ago, I saw a shift in you. You were like, enough. Let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say probably 2 months ago, or I probably would say, when John walked into my room naked.
That'll change you. Was it kind of a...
It was more of like the what was more interesting to me was his lack of being like he just didn't have like any sense of urgency to leave. Like
That's interesting.
He's very comfortable looking at me and talking to me naked, because I'm just not. We just not used to that shit. Like
fully naked, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Soft.
That's a comfortability thing that I have to say, depending on where you grew up and the types of guys you grew up around, that it's just it's too they're too comfortable.
Do you think it's also like more? You think generally like just different groups of people are more comfortable being naked?
Oh, white dudes are definitely more comfortable seeing each other's dicks. That's why I was saying my friends like when I talk about walking around naked in front of my friends, it was mostly my friends that went to like Boston College.
Oh,
that kind of Irish Catholic fervor.
Well, did you have friends that also went to BC High, then went to Boston College?
No.
Double up assholes?
No. I had a friend who went to St. John's Prep and then BC, so he wasn't. They called him Double Eagles. Ugh. I took a ride down by BC High this weekend, actually. Went to the JFK Museum, drove by BC High, and went, oh,
yeah,
God, it looks like a prison camp.
Well, I always call them the double uppers.
Yeah,
the ones that will go they go to BC High, then they apply to Boston College.
Yeah,
and then just have a pedigree of
and then they just go to Suffolk.
And they just end up going to just
Salem State. Is that around anymore?
You know what's funny? Salem State. It's actually, it is. It's not called Salem State College anymore. It's called Salem State University now.
Oh.
I used to live in Salem.
Better merch.
Yeah. Better merch. There was a time period where, Salem State, it used to be Salem State College. Now it's Salem State University. Now, there was one time that I remember when I was in 4th grade because back to Wheaton, the girl Wheaton.
The girl, not the college.
Yeah, no, the girl. She never gave me a chance. So it was one time I was really mad on the bus and I was going home. This is like the yellow bus, and we were passing Salem State College's hockey rink. Right, it's called the O'Keefe Center at the time. Right, I remember like this is when I knew like I was a good liar. Because like we passed the O'Keefe Center, the ice skating rink, and one of the kids on the bus asked me. I had a magazine, a hockey magazine, and a picture of Eric Lindros on it. And he goes, "Yeah, man." You're like, "Oh yeah, who's that?" I was like, "Oh, that's just my cousin."
Yeah, I
was like, "Why the fuck did I lie to?" Like,
because it's funny.
I was like, I told this kid who, like, this big white man was my cousin. And I was like, why did I have to, like, I don't know.
No, it's because it's funny to confuse people. I get it.
All the time. I actually really wanted him to be my cousin because he was.
Sure.
The jersey was great. Red and white. Philadelphia Flyers he played for.
I like the Flyer.
Detroit Red Wings, actually. Apologize.
Oh, the Red Wings jerseys.
Yeah.
Top jerseys for me were the Bruins jersey. I just think is a great jersey. Blackhawks.
Yep, Chicago.
Chicago's got a great jersey. San Jose Sharks.
That's a classic.
And then the Red Wings.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%. Do you know the LA has
Kings?
a hockey is it the LA Kings?
Yeah.
Yeah, they won a Stanley Cup their first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Vegas is coming up, man. Like there's a lot of Vegas. Like, Vegas is a town. I was looking at some property there.
Yeah.
Like to like one day hopefully buy. It's not gonna happen. But like pretty good.
Find somewhere on the map.
You could get a pretty good spread in Las Vegas.
Yeah, find somewhere on the map where there's already an infrastructure, where there's schools and cities and things like that, but also a lot of land around it.
Yeah.
And they don't charge you a lot in taxes.
No.
And that area will be built up in the next 15 to 20 years.
Okay. Well, let's get some more subscriptions and monetize this podcast and build up a real estate portfolio.
Yeah.
So me and you can fucking, not do anything for the rest of our lives. Well, that's my goal. But
well, seems like what we're doing right now.
yeah, actually, and we're doing it well.
With a lot less money.
We're doing it
with
well.
Zero money.
We're doing it well.
For free, with no money.
So we made it, actually.
Yeah.
And again, I want to say this. First of all, Nick, I appreciate you blessing me with this Sergio Tacchini.
Bingo.
Sweatshirt.
You like it?
Love it.
Good.
I told you. I told you before, right? You remember what I told you when you gave me this? The gifts, how...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, white people just give more, would you say thoughtful or just better gifts?
I gotta, this is a light.
You didn't say it though, because like, here's the thing. You actually didn't say it out loud. You said half of the sentence and then stopped and you let me complete. We do this a lot. And you then let me complete the sentence. But you looked at me in a way that's what I thought you wanted to say.
No, I did, but this is the thing. Like from my experience, like the gifts that I've gotten, like generally, like when white people give me gifts, the type of gifts they give me are gifts that they will last a lot longer. Mm-hmm. And the ones that I get from my black friends are like the ones that they know, like I can't ask them again after the first usage.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're giving me a Sergio Tacchini sweatshirt,
sure,
which I'll wear for as long as I can.
Sure.
Now, my friend will probably give me like an extra backwood to smoke. Like he'll give me like a roll of backwoods to use just for like one-time use.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think that is? Help me understand that.
Because generally black people don't want you to come back and ask them for more shit.
Interesting. Interesting.
Like,
interesting.
Yeah. They usually, when they give you something, they're giving you to go away.
Got it. So don't return.
Yeah. I can't ask Dre. He gave me the backwoods last time. You know what I'm saying?
What happens if you do go back and ask?
Oh, shit. Well, you're going to get fucking some talking to.
Yeah.
You'll get shitted on. Yo, didn't I give you that shit last time?
Yeah.
Yo, you never have backwoods, son. I'm always giving you backwoods, B.
Yeah.
See, it's hard.
There's a lot of similarities, I got to say, though.
Yeah.
In other cultures to that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%.
What
was the best gift you ever gotten?
That's a great question.
Do you think? If you remember.
Oh, I mean, the one that comes to mind right off the bat were the white and red Jordan, I think 13s. The one that had like the lip, like there was a white shoe, but then it had like the. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here. I think it was the. You struggling to name the number Jordans is just want to throw my water bottle at you. No, they weren't the 11s.
Jesus. This is a catastrophe.
They were the 12s, Jordan 12s.
Yes.
In red.
Yes.
White and red.
White and red?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I lost my mind.
Please.
These were my favorite sneakers. Favorite basketball shoes of all time.
Yes. Yep. Classics.
You know.
Yep. The retros 9.
And I wore them to play basketball.
This is what also white people do. Like back in the days when they bought Jordans, you guys actually wore them and played in them.
Basketball.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, it doesn't like. And then you look at us, be like, why don't you play basketball in Jordans? We're like, because we can't fucking afford it.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
you did you ever see a black dude ever wear a pair of Jordans scruffed?
No. Well, no. Growing up, no. Now, yes.
Yeah, because it's more of them now.
Because there's more of them now. Yeah.
It's there. You can back in the days, you couldn't get a pair of Jordans that easy.
No, I mean, just look at the colors on this. Look at how they pop. Walking into the gym with that, it's just like,
yep.
What the fuck? So that to me was my best gift,
wow.
And I think I also got the cologne.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I think I also got the cologne.
The Michael Jordan cologne.
And then like my parents would do a nice gift, like a big like $100+ gift,
mm-hmm.
And then everything else was kind of ancillary.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
a couple
of things here and there, a sweater or this or that, like a knickknack. But then there's the one gift.
There's that the big one.
The big one.
And then they have like accessories to surround that gift.
Yes.
Like certain like
maybe even unrelated.
Oh yeah, my dad's given me this same fucking pair of socks for 8 years for Christmas.
Oh, always socks and underwear.
Socks and in a shirt. And a shirt with a tie. Yeah. But the shirt with the tie that comes in the pack. Yeah. Like he didn't take thought. Like
no,
he didn't
it's
take
the package deal.
The package deal.
It's the package deal. It's the canary yellow shirt. It's the canary yellow shirt or the powder blue shirt.
Yes, the powder blue shirt.
With the blue, gray, red, and and silver and black tie. There's always like 5 colors in it.
My dad was so lazy. He put no thought into like, because you would think, hey, I'm your son. Mm-hmm. My son's into this. Let me get something that kind of mirrors or replicates something he's into.
Sure.
Put some thought into it.
That's old school.
No.
Nope.
My dad. No.
Here's what I think you want. Even though the sign, it's literally written on the wall and you're telling me through your actions that you're into basketball.
Yep.
My dad once brought me, because my parents were divorced, so I'd go visit my dad for Christmas. I would always have to go in between like 3 or 4 houses for Christmas. He would take me. One year, he was just so busy and stressed out that he took me to Toys R Us and said, just pick out a couple things. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even like, hey, show me the things that you want. He purchased them there and said, just act surprised when I give these to you on Christmas. And part of me was like, I know this isn't right. Like, this is not how it's supposed to go. And then the other part of me is like, this is actually genius. This is genius.
Yeah, because he doesn't,
It lacks thought. Clearly, he's stressed. Clearly, he's created a life for himself that he's not happy with. Oh. But I kind of benefit from it. So I got a WWF, one of those little Lego ring sets.
Sure.
With the action figures, and then a belt, WWF belt.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I recently told my dad 2 years ago, I was like, Dad, you need to stop with the same Christmas
Does he
gifts.
go same color every time?
He just goes, he goes different color by he thinks he's tricking me.
That's fun though.
Like he's like, oh, I got you. He's like, yeah, I got you the blue one last Christmas. Here's a white one. It's like, Dad, I don't need clothes. I was like,
and it's like professional clothes though.
But not really though. Like my dad's level of professionalism for clothes, it's like, it's not going to Men's Warehouse or going to, a nice designer clothes. Sure. My dad's level of professional clothes is going to Marshalls.
Sure.
And then going to the
prepackaged section.
My dad's never bought me a hat from Lids. He's always bought it from Marshalls. He's that type of dad.
Dude, so you probably have a fucking Memphis Grizzlies hat somewhere. Dude, but the wrong year where their whole branding was.
Dude, one year he gave me a Hartford Whalers hat.
Yeah.
They're not even in the fucking. They don't.
It's pretty dope.
It's actually, I guess, pretty dope.
Yeah.
Still got it. Yeah, that was a good one. That actually was probably the best gift my dad ever got me. I should think about it. The Hartford Whalers hat. I was like, where'd you find it? He was like, oh, it was just in the clearance section at Marshalls. I was just like, all right. And he was like, yeah, it was in like the pillows department. Like, wasn't even like the hats department. Like someone found it.
This is Christmas gifts we're talking about, right? Not like just gifts.
No, this is like just Christmas gifts.
Yeah, Christmas gifts.
Yeah. There was a period of time where like I didn't get Christmas gifts for like just like really good gifts. I don't think I've had like a great gift. Let me think. What's the greatest gift I've ever gotten? The greatest gift? I'm sure there's some.
I got a wedding gift that trumps everything. I think for me, trip to Italy. My best man got me a trip to Italy for my.
That's not that bad. I mean, it's all right. I mean, could have just. Yeah, you said Italy was good. That was a good trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a good gift giver though.
Got me the trip, business class. I think. Was it? No, it wasn't business class. We paid extra
because
for
if it was, you would have remembered.
Yeah. We paid extra for it. But, worst gift you ever got?
The worst gift?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Huh.
Could be for the holidays. Could be for your birthday.
Gee, I can't even remember, man. There's been so many like gifts that were. I'm gonna be honest with you. Actually, no, I never really got. when I think about it, like I never really got a lot of gifts. Okay, let me give you the best gift. Now I remember the best gift that I ever got because it introduced me to hip hop music was a cassette tape album of Scarface that my cousin gave me.
Wow.
1993. Yeah, and that's what like set off the hip hop thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
The worst gift, I don't know. Probably the worst gift I got, probably freaking finding out my parents weren't mine. I don't know. And it was told to me in a restaurant called Fantasy Island.
Okay. It's just there. You can't come back from that Fantasy Island being the setting because it's already a very traumatic experience. Yeah. As at any age and any gender, that is a very. You have a lot of questions. Your identity. There's so many things that you're going through at that time. But then to look over and to be like, I'm sitting in fucking Fantasy Islands right now.
Yep. Great Chinese food. Salem, Mass.
Was it good?
Really good.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah. The food was great.
Okay, all right.
The waiter was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Because there's an energy at the table that the waiter is probably like, oh, I was not prepared for this.
Yeah,
Fantasy
dude.
Island's not prepared for this.
Well, yeah, well, dude, like this is exactly what happened. Sitting down there, 10, 11, 10, whatever age I am, early age, waiter comes over, hey, what would you like? Yo, dude, I always get boneless spare ribs all the time, dude.
Sure. As you do.
I get boneless. Yo, if I go to a Chinese food restaurant, you better have a fucking boneless spare ribs on my table.
On the stick.
Yep.
Yeah.
That or the regular on the
Okay.
Yeah, you talking about the
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, boneless spare. Not you talking about the teriyaki sticks.
Yeah.
I get that too.
Okay.
Bro, I will never forget this day. And I'll never forget what happened.
Of course.
Parents are talking. Waiter comes over. What would you like? I want boneless spare ribs. They haven't told me yet. He goes back, right? Gets the order. Comes back. Right when he comes back, my parents says, hey, we have something to tell you. I say, what? My mom goes, me and your father are not your biological parents.
I like how she said biological.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the waiter leans in and goes, we're out of boneless spare ribs.
He needs some milk.
Yeah, appreciate fuck face. I'm dealing with a life event over here.
Figure it out. Give me the ones with the bones on.
Yeah,
it.
give me something.
Man,
tough.
Now were they
Restaurant's still there, by the way.
It's in Salem, you said?
Salem, yeah. I was thinking about going back there and taking a picture in front of it.
That's hysterical. Oh, first thing that pops up, Fantasy Islands. Oh.
Yeah. Salem, Mass. Boom.
There it is. Patio set
Bottom
up.
left. Yep.
That patio set up. Yep. Oh, boy.
That's where my life changed forever.
Oh, boy. At this table. Definitely there. That's definitely the table. And it's close enough to people where it's kind of like...
You know what I was thinking of doing? I was thinking of going there and offering to buy it. Just to get that sign.
We should do a show here. We should do a show here.
Wouldn't that be so fitting? You know?
Yeah, we should produce a comedy show here. Fantasy Island.
Are
you fucking kidding me?
That's exactly where I found out my fate.
They got boneless ribs in this picture.
Goddamn right they do.
They never ran out of boneless ribs until that waiter went back and was like, "Hey, there's table 6. We need to figure this out.
We need to have more boneless spare ribs. We cannot have boneless spare ribs ever again. We need to have boneless spare ribs."
God, that's
the place is still there.
How long after that? So how long did that conversation, of course, last the whole meal?
It was a tough
last years, but
yeah, it was a tough meal to swallow for sure. No pun intended.
Were your parents good with like discussing that with you, or was it kind of like no?
It was something that they actually didn't want to do.
Sure, of course, that must be hard for now that you're an adult. It's like that. Yeah. That's got to be hard.
Yeah, it was something that I think my dad's take on it was this. He actually wanted to wait to tell me after I finished high school.
Yep.
Because, which he had a great point. And to think about it now, I think he kind of made, well, I don't know, maybe I'll have your take on it. Maybe I'll get your opinion on it. His take was, because I'm like in the stages of where I am, I'm doing good in school, sports is going great. Like, this will really
veer you off course.
Veer you off course.
Sure.
At least let him like get what he needs to do first.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he's about 18, 19,
yep,
he may be able to handle it a little bit more better.
Sure.
It'd probably be hard, but at least he accomplished the things he needed to get, and he'll have a foundation to stand on.
Sure.
That can help him get through it, right? He'll get into college, he'll play sports, he'll be more fundamentally sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was my mom was getting pressured by her mom, which is my grandmother, to tell me, and also her sister, who is my real biological mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was getting pressured. So, and it was a really tough situation for my mom, because she's like, well, he is my son. I raised him.
Wait. Her sister's your biological mother.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was one
okay.
it was one of those situations where my mom felt like, I just imagine like being a woman, like being a mom who like took in a kid from the beginning.
Your sibling's kid, yeah.
Yeah, her only sister, by the way.
Yes.
Her only like biological sister. I mean,
Yeah.
she has other stepsisters, but yeah, she took on the responsibility,
Wow.
raised me, and then was like, I feel like she knew she had to tell me at some point,
Of course.
but I don't think at that time, and she was young, dude. My parents had kids young, dude. Like, they were in their early 20s raising kids.
That's wild.
I ate cereal with a fork yesterday. I'm in no position to like, my mom was like, you should have kids.
To be fair, John really is that your roommate, John?
Yes.
Yeah. He sprung some shit on you that I would be eating cereal with the fucking antenna if I saw that. What you saw. But no, that's really hard. I think it's adoption stories are very interesting to me.
Oh, by the way, that's actually, you said that.
Go ahead.
I never was adopted.
Oh.
This is Africa. There's no legal fucking, they just take you.
Yeah.
So I just want to like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how you like adoption. It's good to know. I'm trying to like wrap it in something that's a little bit.
Yeah. Abel, case number 3658 by the district court is probated.
No, it's like you're here. You're just here.
He's my
We're
son.
just going to go under the assumption that this is what it is.
Just don't say nothing to the customs agent.
Well, we're going to look it up. Using what? What are they documenting it with?
There's no documents.
No. Well, in that situation, though, I find it to, from an outsider looking in, were you able to, and I'm assuming your biological mother you were able to make contact with?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still a lot. Because I talk to people where they're like, no, I still haven't, made contact. I mean, I have members of my family where.
Just my mom, though.
Just your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
But dad, no.
Okay. Well, you don't need dad anyways.
Yeah. Well, I can't. He died last year. So.
That's right. Okay.
So maybe Fantasy Island.
Well, I have 2 dead dads, so we're going to.
Hence why we're
competing. This podcast turns into. We should just rename this Daddy Issues. with Chase and Nick.
Jason, yeah, that's a great name for a podcast, by the way.
Daddy Issues.
We should do another podcast together called that, because it's typically the stereotype is like woman has daddy issues, right? Like if you meet a woman, she's whatever. Like
yes,
but maybe there's
a lot of men out there with daddy issues,
but it's not promoted as such, right? It's not like, oh, this girl's crazy because she has daddy issues. It's like, no, that's not necessarily the case.
But I do think that there were some men out there where I'm like, no, that is the case.
That is the case.
He's an asshole because he didn't have a dad.
Yes. Right.
Or he didn't.
Or he wasn't.
He didn't have someone to show him how to do certain things.
Oh yeah, my dad never he told me to do stuff.
Yeah. My stepdad was that for me. I was lucky because I had my dad who was around.
That's good.
And he was around every weekend, and he always offered to do things, and he was always he was an aloof kind of big friendly guy, big gentle giant. He was like 6'6".
Oh, that's a big guy.
Big guy.
That's a big guy.
But he just kind of he got his life together later in his life.
Like most men,
Like most men do. He had issues with his dad, so there was a whole thing there. My stepdad came from an incredibly dysfunctional and abusive childhood.
I see.
He's Sicilian. He looked like Big Pussy from The Sopranos.
Love it.
Spitting image. Yeah. And he was the complete opposite of my father, my biological father. Complete opposite. He was kind but not nice. He was a kind man. He would teach me how to do things. He would take time to show me how to do something the right way, how to clean a car, or how to, just like, how to change a tire or whatever. Mm-hmm. He was in the auto industry. But, there's no niceties about it. It's kind of like he's an old school guy.
Yeah.
So it comes in a lot of different ways, but when you don't have even that, when people don't even have that basic kind of foundation of who can I even just associate with that person or that character figure, that gets dicey. It gets really dicey.
It gets dicey. And then think about it now, at my age now, like I mentioned earlier, like he passed away, my biological dad.
Yep.
My dad, when I say my dad, when I'm talking in the context of my dad, what I mean is like the dad who
Your
raised
dad.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because that's all I knew him as.
He's still here.
He is.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I talk to him about situations like this, he zones out though, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But he's here. My biological dad, who I never met, he left when I was like 10 days old. Like, just was like, yo, I'm out.
Yep.
You could do that in Africa. And you won't find you.
Not that that's even an excuse to do that to a kid.
Yeah.
But I feel like Africa's a little bit. There were things going on there.
There's a lot of things
in the 70s and 80s.
War,
genocidal apartheid. Things that were a little bit different than the pressures of North Shore, Massachusetts.
Yeah. Abel, I love you, but there's some other things I gotta attend to.
There's no water. There's how are we gonna do these things? There's no infrastructure.
Right. There's a government here that's forcing me to be.
There's a coup
in the military. And I don't know when I'm gonna get out.
There's an active military coup going on right now, I need to pick a side.
When they tell me that I can get out, I'll come find you.
Yeah.
That's basically
maybe.
Right.
It's wild.
Wasn't the case. He never found me.
Now your dad is from where? If you don't mind me asking.
My
dad
feel
comfortable talking about.
He raised me?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from Eritrea.
Oh, they're from okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All my family's from Eritrea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not around so you're able to, in some sense, not in some sense, you were able to grow up with an identity and a culture that lined up with yours.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I felt disconnected from my Lebanese side because my dad wasn't in the house since my parents got divorced when I was 3. So I
you were
never.
a kid.
So I was a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never grew up in that type of knowing that. So and I think what was tough for me now, even still, is like I identify more with like the Italian Irish, mainly just the Italian culture and identity.
Makes sense.
Some of the things that I do, you've even said this was kind of like little Guido-y, like a little bit of there. But
I didn't know. Yeah, when I first met you, I was like, you definitely had like. I was like, okay, he could be Italian, he could be Lebanese, whatever.
Yeah, just like even some of that stuff around like food and culture and music, even down to like, I'm actually a very outgoing person, but both my parents are Italian and Irish. You don't fucking say anything to anyone that you don't know. Yeah. You just don't speak about your life, anything at home. No. Whereas my dad was very outgoing. The Lebanese culture is just very outgoing, communal. They foster community better.
The Lebanese community, because I'm very familiar with, they're a very inclusive community.
Yeah.
They make you feel like you're part of, like, they're not afraid to show, like, hey, come eat with us. Come, everything's like, so, yeah.
Yeah, and being raised in a very exclusive,
right.
Sicilians...
Different?
Yeah. It's even though where they're positioned geographically makes them inherently have to experience through trade Greek culture, African culture, Italian, like they're at the middle of everything, but it's very much like we're not going to go to the fucking neighbor's house to have a barbecue. Why the fuck would we do that? That was the mentality.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think when I heard that, I was like, when I heard that, you were, we'll say, adopted. I don't know what other term is there.
I mean, I don't know.
We'll say that.
I don't know. I'm still.
But a concern I always have when I hear about people in that sense is like, I think a popular thing you see is like Asian babies getting adopted by white families. And I feel so bad for those kids in a sense of like, they just don't, their proximity to culture visually, if not for just, the full holistic experience of like, you kind of don't have that and you kind of get removed from that.
It gets removed. And you also, what happens is you get removed and you get put into a situation where you have to adopt and assimilate with a group of people to what's around you. And then you kind of just feed into like, those type of things, you know what I mean? Which happens, you know, and not to, it happens. It happens quite often than most people would think. You know? So,
I mean, I'm just glad your mom and dad decided to bring you to a Chinese restaurant in Salem to have this conversation.
I mean, they could have,
because I do think spare ribs are now part of your culture.
Spare ribs are, well,
in that way.
It's, it's one of those situations where it's hard to kind of, it's something that you like, that I have to kind of figure out and get over with, get over, I should say. Or I feel like I am over it, but need to kind of really understand it a lot more better. But again, it's hard to do it by yourself. Yeah. You need, in these situations, you need to have like a collection of people who understand how to, well, first you need to have people who could tell the truth. Yeah. So that's number one. So if it's not based on any truth, if the people who are part of this situation are not being totally truthful as to what happened back then that led me to be here. Yeah. Then how do you kind of resolve certain situations? But then there's other side of me that's like, well, do you really need to kind of like know this? You kind of, you did well. Things turned out pretty okay for the most part. Yeah, yes and no. You could have still been in Africa. Things could, whatever, your parents would take. So I always fight between like, should I really be feeling this way? Should I get over it? But should I really dive into it to really get over it? And then, but it's just like, but then like when my biological father died, like, which is crazy because this is how energy, this is why I believe in energy and like a higher power, because the same dad who never talked to me, the same dad who told me that I wasn't his biological kid, was also the same person that had to tell me that my dad died.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And that was
the only time he actually brought up his name. Like, was the time.
And that was your dad.
The dad who raised me, had to tell me that my biological died, but he never talked to him about him since the time he first told me about him. Yeah, isn't that weird?
That is weird. And then I think you get to a certain age too, where you start to just look at everyone, your biological parents, and now your parents are your. But you look at them as adults. You're like, okay, they were just adults trying to 20-something-year-old just trying to figure out. Yeah. Okay, this is a fucked up situation in the sense of like, this kid can't stay in Africa. Yep. Under the current conditions.
Yeah, and they couldn't. They were leaving.
So what do we do?
Gotta go.
And how do we handle it? And how do we make sure that this person turns out to be
at least a functional human being?
And that's why, like, I would be upset. I would be upset if my parents now, if I were in your situation, I could see where you're upset because they're not engaging in that conversation with you. No. But then you start to, the older you get, I think you start to realize like, man, maybe it might be really fucking hard for them to talk through that stuff.
Oh yeah, well it was because I definitely knew when he told me that my biological dad died, how he told me he died. Yeah. Which I knew was like still hard for him. Yeah. Because the way he told me wasn't like very compassionate or anything. Yeah. It was like, hey Abel, what's up? Hey, let's go outside. Gotta tell you something. I'm like, all right, go outside. Yeah. Listen. Father died. Sorry.
Tough.
Just
Jesus.
yeah, it was sucks. It sucks. It sucks. I know it sucks. He didn't. Yeah. Yeah, but let's go inside. Just suck it up. Let's go back inside. Have some tea.
You're like, why couldn't we have this conversation inside? Why did dads like to do that?
Dude, why did
Step outside.
Why did he friggin' pull me aside like I was in a league of their own with Tom Hanks and just get back in the batter's box? That's exactly.
You're just looking around being like, can we not stay in the house somewhere more comfortable to have this conversation?
Just the way my dad was like he just could just shut it off.
Dads are very interesting that way.
Right?
Dads are very interesting that way.
They just know how to shut off emotion. Like they just want something. He literally told me, it's like, hey, get back in the batter's box. Sorry. The way he told me is like, hey, you're going from DH to 7th, but you're still in the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. There are times where both my dad and my stepdad and my dad, like I saw both of them cry at certain points, but I would look at them in normal situations that people would cry, in just normal everyday situations where it's like, oh, that's really sad, man. They're just like, no, nothing. But then we'd be watching, my stepdad especially, would be watching a movie where a kid got hurt or something, and you don't hear anything, and everyone's quiet. And you know how you just like, when you're watching a movie, you kind of look at everyone to see how they're reacting, and there'd just be one little tear coming down his face, and you're like, oh, wow. But guys back then, they had the emotion, they just really didn't know how to express it. At all.
I had the same expression when I saw Titanic.
You did.
I cried. One tear.
Now, see, in that situation, if I'm you and watching Titanic, I'm like, some of these people need to die.
That's a good point.
Some of these people.
That's a good point.
Some of these people need to die.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah. Some people on the Titanic definitely should have died.
Sure.
Jack Dawson, definitely not.
No, that's a shame.
Jackie should have never died. I watch that movie at least once a month.
Oh, wow. That many times.
I'm a Pisces, emotional creature. It's a good movie. I like it. I don't know why. It resonates with me.
I feel that way about Love and Basketball. That's my Titanic.
You better fucking love you.
Yeah.
You know why.
Yeah.
I watched Love and Basketball with Sanaya Lathan and Omar Epps at least twice a week in college when I played hoops in college.
It's just
such a simple, but I won't even call it a hood classic, right?
It transcends. Barbershop was a hood classic, but although I don't know, I would even say Barbershop.
I would say more Fridays.
Okay, yeah, Fridays, yeah.
That's a comedy though. This was Love and Jones. I mean, Love.
This will be a classic.
Love. Yeah.
This will be a classic.
Yeah.
But Love and Basketball was just transcends.
And I don't
anything.
I can't even explain as to why, but it just was.
I think the way it was shot. I think the era in which it was shot in.
The music score was good.
I think the music score was good. I think the actors.
Mm-hmm.
I think the actors really. Though they fit very well in the storyline of like. Do we? I think for me it's always, do I buy this? In anything, not just whatever hood classics or whatever. However we want.
I just feel like that era of like black films and those times, like those black, like they say black films or like whatever, but like that group of people of like when they were making movies, Omar Epps, Sanaya Lathan, Boris Kodjoe, Taye Diggs, Morris Chestnut.
Yep.
I mean, Love and Basketball. I mean, look at this, man. This is like the movie was great, man.
Yeah.
It just was awesome. I mean, I want to get that painting.
I want this T-shirt.
You want that? We'll get it.
This would be a hard T-shirt.
I'll get you. What size are you? We'll get it done next week.
This we should make into a T-shirt,
dude. You know what I'm going to start doing? I'm just going to start wearing graphic tees from the '90s of specific movies. That's what I'm going to start doing.
Yeah.
Fuck it. You know.
Oh, here we go.
Look at the friggin'.
I totally forgot. Who is this now? What is his name again?
That's the dude from the Allstate commercial.
Yeah, but what is his name?
Just friggin' Black Goddess.
It's not Morris Chestnut. I always want to say that.
Just put Allstate black guy commercial. I'm telling you, it's permission. It's okay. Yep. Chase told me to type this. Yes.
I put in my Google search. Any black stuff I look at, I put in parentheses. Chase told me to type this, just in case. Dennis Haysbert.
Yes.
He looks like a dentist too. Like, you know,
He does.
God, Dennis is such a good guy.
Handsome guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dennis did some shit in the 80s. Didn't we all?
Cocaine. Call out cocaine.
Yep. But how tall do you think he is?
I would say 6'5".
Mm-hmm. I think that's it.
Yeah. It's tall. Tall guy. You know? 6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah. 6'4", 6'5". Yep.
Good for him.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I think that was one of those movies that just
It was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Tough conversation in that movie. He had to tell his son that he was
doing
Yeah.
doing some things.
Yep.
Which led to some disappointment and distrust of the father.
Yep.
Which, you know, led to years of them not talking and then eventually coming back together. Not so much for me.
Yeah.
But
Fair enough.
we're here.
Here we are.
Guys,
That was great.
that was good. If
Well, we got a lot
if you
out.
guys haven't seen this movie, by the way, go check it out. It's called Love and Basketball. I mean, if you guys already follow me, I'm sure you.
I don't want to make assumptions, but I feel as though if we're talking about branding, I think we have mentioned that many times. I feel confident that that is a widely held, highly regarded movie.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. It's
Yeah.
got to be. And then we'll do some other kind of cool movies that I'm sure that me and Nix have seen in the past and talk about it. But definitely see Love and Basketball and watch it once a month. Watch it. Watch it like me. You know.
You got some dates coming up.
I do. I got some
You're
dates.
back doing stand up. So you're back doing stand up
Yeah.
pretty frequently now.
Trying.
Like it's back. You're back in it.
Trying to get the wheels greased.
Yep.
Trying to grease them up, you know. I do have some shows. I have a show next week. No, I'm sorry, November 29th. If you're in Boston, you guys follow me. I'll be at the Bell in Hand in downtown Boston in Faneuil Hall. It's a very known bar in
I
Boston.
think it's the oldest bar in the country.
Is that what it is?
I think it's up there. Yeah.
Oh, nice. It doesn't
Or the
surprise
first
me.
bar or something like that.
Well, Boston was the first city, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. But yeah, if you're in the Boston downtown area or just outside of Boston, coming into Boston, there's a great show. November 29th, Tuesday, 8 p.m. It's a free show. Just Eventbrite tickets, but just RSVP to it. You can follow me on my Instagram to get that information. That's November 29th. And December 21st, I'll be at the Red Nun in Dennisport, Massachusetts. That's in Cape Cod.
Yeah, I do.
I had to reschedule the last show that I was supposed to do last month there, so they rebooked me to come back down there in December. So I'll be heading down to the Cape officially December 21st at the Red Nun Bar and Grill. Another great place. Looking forward to come there. January, that's a little bit out, but just put it on your calendar. I just got booked to be at the Comedy Connection in Providence, Rhode Island, January 19th through the 21st. So guys, look at the schedule there. I'll be hosting there all weekend. And yeah, so some dates to kind of give you guys.
Check them out.
Check me out. You feel me?
Check it out. Also, check out the Corey Rodriguez and Ivana Benetti episodes on YouTube. Those are doing great. We're updating kind of the branding and all that stuff and bringing hopefully some more video episodes. And check out Chase on social media at Chase Abel on Instagram and at Chase Abel _comedian on TikTok. And I'm Nicky Neighborhoods at Nicky Neighborhoods. Yeah.
Friggin' great discussion, Nikki. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for loosening. Jesus. Wow. For loosening.
We're loose right now.
We're so loose. I need to get off this goddamn mic. We love you. We peace.